Hi, today we're going to go over lesson 1.4. I can use strategies to multiply and divide integers. So I'm going to go ahead and flip to lesson 1.4. I can use strategies to multiply and divide integers. To multiply and divide integers, remember the spoon strategy. If the integers have the same signs, your answer will be positive. So if you're multiplying two positive numbers together, your answer will be positive. Like 3 times 2 is positive 6. If you multiply two negative numbers together, your answer will also be positive. Negative 3 times negative 2 is positive 6. A negative times a negative is a positive. However, if you're multiplying opposite signs together, your answer is going to be negative. Negative 3 times 2 gives you a negative 6. Same thing if you start with a positive and a negative. 3 times negative 2 gives you negative 6. Okay, so let's go over this a little bit slower. Let's multiply and divide integers with the same signs. So if they have the same signs, the product or quotient, product meaning multiplication, quotient meaning division, of two integers with the same signs is positive. So this says 2 times 6 is 12. We know that. But a negative times a negative is also a positive. So negative 10 times negative 7 is positive 70. We know that 15 divided by 5 is 3. But a negative divided by a negative is also a positive. So negative 64 divided by negative 8 is positive 8. So doing these examples below, a negative times a negative is a positive. So negative 11 times negative 9 is positive 99. Negative 4 squared, I'm going to write out. It's not negative 4 times 2. It's negative 4 times negative 4. And a negative times a negative is a positive, so I would get positive 16. This is a negative divided by a negative, which is also a positive. So negative 28 divided by negative 7 is positive 4. A negative divided by a negative is a positive, so negative 27 divided by negative 3 is positive 9. A negative divided by negative is a positive, so negative 16 divided by, you can't see it. Can you see it? Negative 16 divided by negative 4 is positive 4, and 81 divided by 9 is 9. So we're done with the first page. All right, now let's focus on when we multiply and divide two numbers that have different signs. The product or quotient of two numbers with different signs is negative. This does not read 6 minus 4. This reads 6 times negative 4. The 6 is touching the parentheses, so this is multiplication. A positive times a negative is a negative. So I got negative 24. Negative 5 times 7 is negative 35. 33 divided by negative 11 is negative 3. And a negative 64 divided by a positive is a negative 8. All right, so here are some examples. 3 times, my dog is literally right here. Can you see her? Hi, Penny. Hi. All right, sorry, off track. Okay, Penny. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Penny. Thank you, Penny. I love you so much. Okay, bye. 3 times negative 5 is negative 15. Hi. Yeah, I know. Negative times a positive, so this is negative 48. Okay, I need to refocus myself. A positive times a negative is negative 18. A positive divided by a negative, this is negative 8. A negative divided by a positive, this is negative 5. A negative divided by a positive, this is negative 5. Now, when I have a string of numbers, what I'm going to do is just focus on two numbers at a time. This says negative 3 times negative 4 times negative 2. And I'm just going to focus on negative 3 times negative 4. A negative times a negative is a positive. So that's positive 12. But then I'm going to multiply that by a negative 2. So that gives me a positive 12 times a negative 2, which is a negative 24. I'm going to write this out. It's not negative 2 times 3. It's negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2. And I'm going to multiply these in pairs. Negative 2 times negative 2 is a negative times a negative, which is a positive 4. And then I'm going to multiply that by a negative 2. So then it's a positive times a negative, which is a negative 8. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing over here. 2 times negative 6 is a positive 2 times a negative 6, which is a negative 12. And I'm going to take that negative 12 and multiply it by negative 3. A negative times a negative is a positive, so that's positive 36. All right. Negative times negative is a positive 6. Positive 6 times 1 is 6. 14 times 0 is 0. 0 times anything is still 0. 0 divided by anything is 0. If I'm going too fast, make sure you rewind or pause at any point that you need. All right, next page. An elevator descends 1,500 feet in 60 seconds. Find the change in height per second. So when it says height per second, that means height, which is feet, divided by seconds. So I'm going to see how many times 60 can fit into 1,500. I know that 60 can fit into 1. It can't fit into 15, but 60 can fit into 150 twice. Because 2 times 60 is 120. I can subtract, and I'll get 30. Bring down the 0. Now it's 300. 60 goes into 300 5 times. So the elevator goes down 25 feet per second. A scuba diver took 6 minutes to rise to the surface at a rate of 30 feet per minute. How far was he below sea level? So this scuba diver was below sea level, and he took 6 minutes to rise up to sea level. So I'm going to, sorry, my dogs are playing in the background, sorry. So that's 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes, 6 minutes, and now he's at the surface, okay? And each minute he swam up 30 feet. So 30 feet, 30 feet. This turns into a multiplication problem, or you can think about it as repeated addition. But you're going to do 30 times 6 to represent the 30 feet per minute for 6 minutes. And he was 180 feet below sea level at the start of the problem. A submersible, so I'm going to think of that as a submarine. I can't draw. Okay. Is diving from the surface of the water at a rate of 90 feet per minute. What is the depth of the submersible after 7 minutes? This is a very similar problem. It's diving down 90 feet per minute, and we're talking about 7 minutes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 minutes, and each minute is 90 feet. So again, this is repeated addition, or you could just multiply 90 feet per minute, 7 minutes goes by. The submersible is going to be 630 feet below sea level. Mr. Simon's bank automatically deducts a $4 monthly maintenance fee from his savings account. Write a multiplication expression to represent the maintenance fees for 1 year, then find the product and explain its meaning. Since they deduct $4 a month, I'm going to start my expression with a negative 4. And they want this expression to represent the maintenance fees for 1 year. So this deduction happens every month for a year. So I'm going to multiply it by 12. Now notice I don't have an equal sign because they asked for an expression. The product of negative 4 times 12 is negative 48. And the meaning of negative 48 is that Mr. Simon's bank deducts $48, not per month, but per year. There are so many notifications that I wish I could just, okay, there we go. Write a multiplication sentence with a product of negative 18. Now there's a bunch of different answers for this, But I know since the product has to be negative, that one of the factors